So I had an interesting theory or hypothesis, if you will, about the identity of Jack the
I
Ripper.
can see prints
Yes,
from
which I heard on the
upon
Mysteries
the cover
Abound
of this
podcast.
book. Let us take a closer
I'll
look.
say in a second. Moby Dick.
Well,
okay.
What a find!
I really want to
jewel
have a book that I have stuff in.
I have one.
Have you?
It was a gift that I was given by my A-level biology teacher, and it's got a big section cut out of it.
That's cool. What do you keep in there? Biologies?
Let's say yes and not incriminate myself.
Or your teacher?
Yeah.
A bracelet with a unique ram's head design.
Oh.
A distinctive feature of ancient Grecian artifacts, probably of the Hellenistic era.
That's cool. So guy who I think is a literature professor who thinks that Jack the Ripper was a guy, I can't remember his name, who was a poet at the time and was had written a bunch of weird poems about cutting up women and killing people and stuff at the times when crimes were purported to have happened.
It's very interesting.
Mr. Turner, how would it be possible for a man of advanced years, such as yourself, to rush from his bed to the window in a matter of seconds, as you have stated?
Well, I'm able to move very quickly, despite my age. And when the situation requires it, Mr. Holmes.
Lies!
Turner's limp.
I highly doubt that, Mr. Turner. I observe that you
Mr.
suffer
Turner.
a severe limp due to your injured right leg. It would have taken at least 10 seconds for you to approach the window. That means you could have easily missed something or someone in Half Moon Street during that time.
You're right, Mr. Holmes. I could have
Plus,
missed
we
something.
couldn't see anything right down the ends there, even when we were there.
Oh, time can pull tricks on you.
The whole trap.
And what of everything else that you told us? Mr. Turner, it is vital that we have your complete and true statement.
Mr. Holmes, I do assure you that the other things I said were most sincere.
Lies.
Mr. Turner, you were not sincere with me. Not then and not now.
But Mr. Holmes...
This, Mr. Turner, does not look like anything that a poor man might possess. It is worth more than the home that you live in.
I can explain.
Can you now?
No, merely correct me if I am wrong. You saw Leighton Chapman through the window, but you also noticed a glittering object on the ground, this precious jewel. You walked down and took the bracelet from the body of Kenneth Butler, and when you heard the whistles, you hurried away. That broke your walking stick. It caught fast between the cobbles. Constable Marrow was unable to see you in the window as you were climbing up the stairs on your way back to your flat. Upon returning home, you hid the precious jewel inside a book.
Mr. Holmes, please don't send me to prison. I didn't do anything bad.
I'm
just a poor man. When I chanced upon the bracelet, I saw it as an opportunity to make a little money. I was desperate. I only took the bracelet, that's all, I swear.
You made a mistake by lying.
You've taken more than the bracelet, sir. You have taken the piss. And for this you shall hang.
Return this bracelet to its rightful owner.
That's why it's better to stay at home at night.
Yeah.
I like his...
He's not wrong.
I want to say that more often to people. That'll be my piece of NPC dialogue that you say when you shout at someone they walk past.
I just like the going instantly from, being uncovered to that, and that's the moral of my story.
I'll do anything to save my brother, Mr. Holmes.
Anything?
Sounds a little suspect, if you ask me. Right, what have we got here?
Even kill 2 men?
Locked.
Yeah, look at this. This is a great place for a murdering.
Locked.
I don't even want to kill anyone, but if I was here, I would think about it.
Yeah, it's definite murder town.
Locked.
Locked.
Locked. What is this?
This mirror is turned towards Half Moon Street.
What if one of the gunshots was from a laser that was fired at the mirror, and that's why they sounded different?
Locked.
I bet this lady would be able to see it.
Mrs. Powell?
What do you want?
My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm assisting the police with their investigation of the crime that took place this evening.
Well, I've already gave my testimony, but
Give
very
it.
well.
Could you tell us everything that you may have seen or heard?
Yes. I was selling my flowers as usual, and then the fireworks
In the middle of the
began
night.
in honour of Queen Victoria. I enjoyed
Late night
those.
flowers.
But then, all of a sudden, a young lad ran out of Half Moon Street and stopped just by me. He had a gun in his hand. He was like a ghost, and all covered in blood. It was dark, but I could see him because of the flashes from the fireworks.
And then?
I screamed as loud as I could. I knew that a policeman should be on duty in the vicinity. He had no time to escape. 2 constables got him. Then another constable came out from the very
You
same
are
street,
terribly
and I
common.
heard him talking of a horrible murder.
Mrs. Powell, did you hear the gunshots?
I'm not sure. You know, what with the fireworks?
Did you see anyone else leaving Half Moon Street prior to or at the time of the crime?
Time
No,
to
sir,
cry.
I did not. Even with all the fireworks, I was very attentive, as I'm always on the lookout for customers.
I'm always on the lookout for people who might want to buy my flowers.
People love flowers at firework time. What if the Queen Victoria done come round on her birthday, looking for birthday flowers? And she'd be all like, "Oh no, I got no flowers for my
Rose,
birthday."
Did you see my brother at Scotland Yard? Is he all right?
And there's one there.
Here you go, my queen. I won't even charge you for these flowers or now.
Oh, thank you. That is wicked. Cheers, mate.
It would be my pleasure to assist you with your
Thanks,
investigation,
pal.
Mr.
Have a
Holmes.
golden knucket.
I'm always wondering what's on your mind, Holmes.
Right.
For your troubles. Anyway, that's what I think the Queen would say to me.
Should be alright. You're alright there.
Locked.
What about...
Locked.
Locked. What about this pauper?
I can't do anything.
Drunkard. Locked.
Locked.
Right. Let's go Scotland Yard.
Yep.
Go and have a word with Wiggins' brother.
Mr. Holmes, whatever brings you here so late at night?
I
I'm
like this one
interested in the
because
case
it's a
of
bit
young
darker.
Leighton Chapman.
And there's
He was
fun
arrested earlier
characters
this
all
evening
around.
and accused of a double murder.
I beg your pardon? That case is quite clear to the police. Or are there any new facts that we don't know about?
Who knows, Inspector?
Look, you are free to investigate, of course, Mr. Holmes. Chapman was arrested with a revolver in his possession, which you can find in the evidence room. The suspect himself is in custody.
Did you
Likes
find
and
anything
custard.
else on his person?
A
I'd
few
like some
personal
too.
belongings.
And a nice
Nothing particular,
crumble.
Mr. Holmes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lestrade.
Preferably rhubarb.
Yes. Agreed.
Mr. Holmes, what is the trouble with
Not
that
to bring
lad?
up the same thing, but... Crumble versus pie.
Crumble. Every die.
Every time. Every day I had crumble. Every day not pie.
Yeah, crumble. I mean, obviously, pies are a lot more. What's the word? Like, you can do a lot more things with pie as a format.
A cheap watch, bought with his own money, no doubt.
Cheap and shit, I think.
I love me a crumble.
These cigarettes are filled with cheap tobacco. Nothing interesting.
Nothing interesting.
So this is the gun that Leighton was holding when he was caught by the police. It is a Webley revolver.
A Webley revolver.
Examine.
It seems as though the shells were not removed from the cylinder.
Let us look at them. How many have been fired, homies? Okay.
2 out of the 6 shells have been fired. There were 2 shots.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm. But there were different shots.
Yes.
So Leighton could have only shot one of them.
If indeed he shot any.
So Turner could hear the contrast between the two shots, as in fact 3 shots were made. At first a single shot was fired, then 2 guns fired simultaneously directly afterwards. Or were they made in different parts? That's interesting.
That is interesting.
Oh, but Leighton
also, the precious jewel was left.
Kenneth and Brian were victims of a double murder carried out by one person. They're saying that that's definitely true.
It feels like if there was some kind of an altercation between those 2 dudes. One of them shot the other one.
Yeah.
And then maybe, Leighton got involved.
Yeah. We got some more compelling evidence. Witness testimonies and the crime weapon clearly point to one possible culprit, Leighton Chapman.
Chapman is a really lazy made-up name. Like Gary Oldman.
Gary Newman is older than Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
I like that fact. Put him in the cell.
Please escort this suspect for interrogation.
For interrogation.
Yeah, let's interrogate
Good evening, Mr. Chapman.
Who are you? I've got nothing to say. It's all a mistake.
Calm down, Leighton. I have come here to help you. To find out if you truly are innocent, as your younger brother Wiggins has told me.
My brother?
Wiggins.
You know him?
So
that means you're...
Sherlock Holmes.
Wiggins...
Oh, blimey.
Is
All right, Mr. Rhodes.
his first name.
I'll tell you everything.
He's called Wiggins Chapman.
Wiggins Chapman is a great name.
That is good.
Unless they're half-brothers.
That's true.
Occasional fights.
Grew up on the streets. You can tell because he's got half of his face has been cut off. Hard-headed. Scarf. Fancy.
Cushy. How is Wiggins like? Oh, committed a crime.
Or was incarcerated for one. You assume too much, Holmes.
Tell me your account of what happened.
I left my work and I hurried up to see the fireworks in Whitechapel. I was late, so I decided to cut through Half Moon Street. I saw the first fireworks light up in the sky. I bumped into a constable on a corner before entering Half Moon. Then suddenly, what with all the firework flare, I saw 2 men. They were both lying flat in the middle of the street. I stopped where I was. I thought about turning back to the police, but as I was thinking of that, I saw a third person. He was leaning over the body that was furthest from me. The second I saw him, he raised his head and he stared at me. In a flash, I saw his gun, but he made a dash for it instead and he escaped through Whitechapel Street.
I thought that could have been...
So you might still have had
Old
time
man
to return
Limpy.
to the
Yeah.
constable.
I panicked. I didn't know what to do. Anyway, I approached the bodies just to see if they were still alive. I saw that one had blood pumping out of his stomach. He was dying. It was horrible.
Horrible.
The second one was already dead. He had a hole in his head.
It was horrible.
He was holding a gun in his hand, though. I took it, and then I followed the third man.
Interesting. Pray, continue.
I turned a corner, and I saw the man standing in the middle of the street. He seemed to be in
Just to remind you, this is a game. We're interacting.
Something strange happened. I told the police and they laughed at what I said, but I swear to you, my words are true.
I bet it won't
I
be.
started
How
running
very
towards it,
amusing.
but then I was blinded by a flash. It was so bright that I
Mirror.
hardly saw anything for a good
Mirror.
dozen seconds.
Laser.
But I kept running forward.
Laser.
There's nothing
So I
brighter
can
than a
watch it.
laser.
I heard a woman screaming, and then I was caught by the police. But there wasn't a trace of that man. Of course, then they
Aliens.
found a gun and all that blood. I couldn't see the murderer escaping and all that mess. Perhaps I was still half blinded at that
Because if it
moment.
was
A
aliens
thrilling account.
in league
my
with
young
the man,
Yeah.
That would explain how he got a laser.
Leighton, are you able to describe the person whom you saw standing in Half Moon Street?
Well, I wasn't able to see his face at all. It was too dark, and he was too far away. I could see his silhouette.
And what about that?
Nothing so special.
Oh, it's rubbish, Mr. Holmes. Just rubbish.
Jacket. He was quite average in size and his weight.
I see. Was there anything else that struck you at the time?
Yeah, the policeman did.
But perhaps it's strange, but I can't remember the sound of his footsteps as he was running away. Perhaps it was because of the fireworks or the surprise of me seeing him.
He was a ghost. Or he could float like aliens.
Oh, yeah.
Leighton, I confess
Yeah,
I
if
am
they were
puzzled.
like suspending
Why
him
should
above
a
the
young
ground
lad like
in
you
their,
take a
from
gun
their ship,
from the
yeah.
hands of a dead man and set off in pursuit of a probable killer?
I know. I keep wondering that, but at the time it was like a reflex. A criminal ought to be arrested, and he was armed.
You were willing to
And
risk
leg.
your life. That was a little foolish, unless you wanted revenge.
No, Mr. Holmes. I was just being brave and stupid.
Westgate prisoners.
I'm sure that you were, but I believe that you may have recognized one of the victims, Brian Vercotti.
Yes.
You knew that gentleman well, did you not?
However could you know that?
You have a typical tattoo of the Westgate Brotherhood upon your hand.
And
I
as we
observed
know,
exactly the same
all
mark
prisoners
upon
are
Mr.
friends.
Vercotti. You came to know him from your sharing a past prison sentence. Am I correct, Mr. Chapman?
It was a good sentence indeed.
You're right,
Contained
Mr.
The
verbs.
big brown fox jumped over the lazy dog.
Would you tell me a little about Brian Vercotti?
We were convicted for a robbery. Once in prison, both of us joined one of these fraternities. During that year, we tried to help each other out, you know?
You were quite young then, I believe.
Yes, Mr. Holmes, we were. We'd only stolen a pound of meat.
What?
After we were released, and when I saw what my little brother had become, I decided to work towards living an honest life.
And Vercotti?
He had a hard time. His sister had died in a Whitechapel dispensary while he was in prison. He had no family anymore. Our paths split. He fell back into crime.
So you lost him.
Yes. And for around 2 years, I heard no news of him at all.
We shall see you soon, young man.
Okay. I'm inclined to believe him.
Yeah, I mean, he's not giving any obvious signs of lying.
Yeah. Person whom writing to. Imaginary man, perhaps.
Perhaps.
Old acquaintance. 2 victims. Violent crime. Could have had personal motive.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, these are all just like things that they're telling us.
Yeah, they are conclusions that could be drawn based on not very much.
Yeah. We should search the archives. That's what we should do.
Yes, we should.
That's what it tells us to do now.
Look for armbands. What's it called? Bracelet.
Helena's bracelet.
Helena's bracelet. Who's Helena?
Helena Troy.
Oh, just Helen, wasn't it? Descended or referenced to Helen.
Yeah. Oh, let's look at our letters. Got some letters. This will be thanking us from last time we did a case.
Thanks, Holmes. You done saved the day.
Sensation! An exotic method of murder. The arsenal of our present-day criminals may soon be refilled with poisonous plants.
Yay.
A young man and a beautiful woman in collaboration with her colleague at Kew Gardens planned the terrible murder of the director, Mr. Montague Dunn.
Mm-hmm.
The only one detective was capable of uncovering the truth behind the tragedy. That was initially believed to be a simple heart attack. That detective's name was
Sherlock
Sherlock
Holmes.
Antique bracelet. Poisons? No. No, that won't be it. It won't be in the newspapers.
Arts and architecture. Boom, boom. Technology, history.
Greek history?
Yeah,
That
that
is not
sounds
the
right.
one I need.
Oh, Roman history.
That is not the one I need.
Okay. Why don't, if you know what, just tell us the one that we need then, Holmes. Don't be like that.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Antiques Art of the British Museum. Hellenistic treasures depicted these beautiful antique jewels represent part of the Hellenistic treasures collection. Depicted are the 5 heads of mountain rams upon a bracelet, necklace, ring, each made of pure gold. 5 rams of
Mytilene.
have been missing from the museum since 1885.
Here it is.
Mytilene?
I need to continue my research.
Yes, you do.
Mytilene?
We need
It
to
might
look
be.
in the papers for 1885.
Mytilene.
The Hellenistic treasures were stolen yesterday evening while being transported by
Shit.
a cab on their way from the British Museum to the Galsford Fine Art Exhibition. The pawn shop owner, Kenneth Butler, contacted Scotland Yard that night and provided information regarding a gentleman who'd attempt to sell him a collection of historical art at his pawn shop in Church Street. The police have since captured the described man, a professional thief by the name of Vincent Foley, who had been in the process of escaping London via the port. He was recognised by the surviving driver of a cab and transported the collection of Hellenistic treasures. Vincent Foley refused to confess as to where the remainder of the treasures were hidden. He was eventually imprisoned. The lost treasures are still to be
Here
found.
it is.
So Vincent
One of the
Foley.
victims, Kenneth
Yeah.
Butler, was involved in the story of the stolen Hellenistic treasures. A visit to his pawn shop should tell me more.
Saucy.